Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Long Hill Report. I'm your host, Richard Morkel. And today we have Don Konopaki and Eric Hart. Why are they here? Don is the director. Eric is one of the actors on the production of Hot L Baltimore by the company Pasture Prime Players. And these two here are here to talk about it. And we hope if you enjoy this today, we hope you'll like and subscribe. All right, Don, if you want to introduce this, it's a show. The Hot L Baltimore was a series, wasn't it, years ago?
It was a series for 1 year, but got canceled because it was too controversial for the time period. The play itself came first in 1973. It's by Lanford Wilson. And it was an off-Broadway production that eventually won an Obie for Best Play off-Broadway, as well as, and I always forget her name, Conchata. I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name, but she won as Best Actress an Obie for an off-Broadway production. And it's a really interesting play. It's one of the reasons why I think Pasture Prime exists is the Pasture Prime implies that it's stuff that isn't done anymore because it's considered passé. But in fact, many of the plays that we put on are just as relevant today as they were back when they were made. And this dates back to 1973, and the Hot L Baltimore refers to the fact that it's in a seedy hotel. It all takes place on one day, Memorial Day, in the 70s, and it's called Hot L because the hotel is so seedy that the E burnt out on the marquee, and that's what you see. You see Hot L Baltimore.
Yeah, I a little background read about that it was, the E is missing from hotel. A hotel, okay. Want to give us insights to the plot a bit? Not giving everything away, but...
Well, it takes place in, like I said, the 70s, and it's a reflection on many things. Partially, it has to do with the whole idea of urban renewal, and that some areas are considered too run down, and it's better to just demolish everything and then don't do anything with it, and then everyone who is living in the hotel no longer has a place and become indigent. So it's a play which is still relevant today with the amount of homeless people, and it's a reflection of society from both sides. It doesn't matter which side it's from. There are sides who are the quote-unquote do-gooders who want to do better, and we're going to make sure that they have nice places to live, so we're going to demolish the entire hotel, and there will no longer be any place for them to go because they can't afford to live in a better hotel. And when the hotel gets demolished, suddenly it becomes prime real estate, much like the combat zone in Boston became once they decided that it was better to knock it all down and build various businesses there.
This is quite true for Baltimore at the time. I had a friend who was a police officer down there, and there was a great amount of urban renewal. That's what they did. They just got rid of the people, and they had no place to go. Tore it down and gentrified the whole area down there.
So when you say that the do-gooders ruined it, is that what you...
No, I said both sides did.
Both sides, okay.
So the idea initially was that we're going to make it better. And there was no thought process on how they were going to make it better. Just, well, these are awful buildings and landlords are really nasty and they're not taking good care of the buildings. So we're going to knock the building down and put up things which are better, which now the people who were living in there can no longer afford.
Did the landlords fight this, or were they?
Usually it was taken over by eminent domain.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't really any choice. They decided that, they would find something wrong with the building, say, either you put it up to this certain standard or else we're going to take it over by eminent domain and knock it down. And that's what happened to a lot of areas.
So if you want to go through cast member, what the plot, the plot basically is what you,
The first thing I want to do is caution people, because this is a little bit of a racy play. 3 of the characters are prostitutes. Another one is a thief. And there's also a couple elderly people, such as Eric.
I finally get to play my age, yes.
And a lot of it has to do with how this community of people who are kind of forgotten by society bond together, and that's how they have a family. They don't have any more family. Their only family are those that live in this particular place.
I think that's one of the great charms of the show, is the fact it does show the interrelationships of these people, who are marginalized by society, but have, like I say, as John says, built their own community here. They squabble like a family. They care for each other like a family. But there is this, all through the play, there is this thing moving down on them that's going to tear down and destroy their home. And it's how they react to it and how they react to each other. I think that is, there's humor in it. There's some pathos involved. But it's very much a look at society that's not just relevant from back in the 70s, but also very relevant today.
Can you go through some of the characters and describe them? And
I can, well, we don't want to give too much away, too, because there are certain things, although the interesting turns do come up early in it. I remember I originally saw this in 1975 and in Springfield at Stage West, which was a professional theater group then. And when one of the key reveals happened, I was so shocked. I was not expecting it. And I said, wow, I didn't see that coming. And so I don't want to talk about certain characters just because there's reveals, and it does happen very early in the play, but hopefully people will be shocked when they find out the reveals on some of the characters. Mm-hmm. And the main characters are a character called the Girl. She's a young teenage girl who hangs around at the front desk. The person in charge of the front desk, the property manager, and another person who's at the front desk at a different point of the day. As some of the other residents there are 2 prostitutes named April and Susie, and there is, of course, maybe you want to talk about some of the older characters that are in it.
There's my character is on Mr. Morse, a gentleman who is you get a situation where no family, his wife has passed away, life has passed him by, and this is all he has left, is this place where he is. Cantankerous would be a generous phrase to describe him. But again, as much as he talks down to the people here, they're his family. I mean, they care for him, most of them anyway. Yeah. They put up with his nastiness, but the nastiness is born of the fact that he's gotten old, he has no one left, and this is all he has, and it's about to come crashing down. I say there's a couple of the prostitutes there, but they're the people who are nicest to him. It's and he is betrayed a little bit, as everybody there is in some sense. But again, there's a humor involved that will I think will entertain most of the audience who comes to see this, because they show these people as human beings. and the type of people like, that are real people that are in the world.
So it's not a comedy, but it has comic aspects, is what you're saying.
Oh yes, yeah. It's not so much a drama, but it's so much it's like a slice of life, about what these people are, and as they go through this one day, on Memorial Day, as a matter of fact, and they're trying to like pull their lives together, and how they like make how they make a life out of the situation that they have, which is coming to an end.
The Pasture Prime Players, and you had the auditions. Who are going to be some of the actors and actresses?
See, the funny thing is, the way I direct, I don't call the actors by their real names. I always refer to them only by their characters' names. So sometimes there's there's a couple new actors who I haven't worked with before, and to tell you the truth, I know their first name, but I don't know their full names. I could go over, but I don't want to tell everyone's name and then leave some people out and make them feel like, oh, geez, Don doesn't even know my name.
Well, we still have about 20 minutes
Yes.
to go, so you got to come up with some stuff.
there's a lot going on. So one thing I do want to reiterate is this is definitely an R-rated play. There's a lot of language, and there are a couple things that are in the play which a lot of people would take out of the play. They would say, no, you can't say that today. But it isn't today, it's 1973 or 72. And so we left almost everything in the script intact, except what might have been a big selling point. At the end of the first act, one of the prostitutes comes out naked, and we decided to not have that included in the play. We made it a little bit more modest, but it is certainly for adults, maybe some older teens. I mean, there aren't any words that that a fourth grader hasn't heard, but perhaps not in the same context.
Well,
If I may say that way. Would you say that's
That'd be a rig, but we could probably there's I've worked with quite a number of people in this cast, and they are really a very very talented group, and Don I think has cast the show very well. We have some people from the local area. We have Rose Gage, who is like previously seen in here with the Dashiell Hammett play. We did the Maltese Falcon.
she was in The Bad Seed.
That's true, right?
She was in Dial In for Murder, too.
Ah, yes.
And so she's been in quite a few, and she's from the Worcester area. We have probably about 4 people now from the Worcester area. If I start thinking 4 people from the Worcester area. Some are local people from the general normal auditioning pool that we get. And one thing that's really interesting from my point of view is we have the youth division known as the Pasture Bedtime Players. And the actress who is the lead, who plays the character called the girl, she has come up through the Pasture Prime and Pasture Bedtime Players, and she is now graduated to adult theater, and it's a very adult part, and it's great to see someone that you saw start off as a very young child and suddenly mature into a very good actress.
very good. I can say this, that if you had decided to include that rather interesting part of the play, and we announced that, I think it would increase the attendance.
Oh, I have no doubt it would, but then it's a two-edged sword, as they say. It's something, and you also have to take a look at how the actors feel. So one of the things I made clear with the actresses who are playing prostitutes, I said, I'm not going to, I know how I would like to see you but I'm going to leave it up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. Because that's one thing, is we don't want to make people doing things that they might not feel comfortable with. For all I know, the actress might have been perfectly willing to go as nature had her, but ultimately we have to realize that it's something that even if the actress feels comfortable with it, the audience may not.
Well, you do know some of the great directors of all time love to cause pain to their actors. I think
Yes.
some people said that about John Ford. And who was the German guy who came over?
Well, I mean, certainly Alfred Hitchcock was notorious for what he did to, like, Tippi Hedren from The Birds and Marnie, and how he constantly pursued her, and she didn't want to have anything to do it, and he made her suffer.
So they, and it was the famous movie.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to move up in the ranks of directors, you got to say no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, he can be pretty tough when he
now it's
has to
coming
come out. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when he has to be, and
Yeah.
sometimes as a director you have to be. Don, it's done a really great job with the show, and I think that people are going to totally enjoy it. He's like shaped this cast, and it's shaping up to be quite the good show.
Yeah.
Well, what they said at Monty Python. That'd be cruel but fair.
Well, it's always interesting when you cast something, because I'm not going to lie like some directors do. You always have in mind a core group of people who you think would be great in a role, but I don't cast them necessarily in that role because I want to see what's going, but just in case. Sometimes, for example, we were short a couple actors, and I had to go into some people, call some people I knew who I thought would be able to do justice to the roles, but only after we had had the auditions and were short some people.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
I mean, you do what you have to do, especially with a large cast. I'm trying to think, what is there about?
11, I think.
11,
Yeah, something.
12, depending
Something
on
like that, yeah.
how you count the minor characters. Like there's a pizza delivery person who just comes and says, "Someone order pizza," and then that's it. But
He
obviously,
prepared all his life for that. So, Eric, what is your background in acting? Is this your...
Oh, no, I used to do this professionally. I mean, acting in theater. It's my whole family. It's been involved in it for years. My father, my uncle was Richard Hart. My father was Henry Hart. My brother is Clay Hart, the singer country singer for the Lawrence Welk Show for years. I worked pretty much all over up and down all over New England. With the was at the Playwrights Theater in Boston, the Little Flags Theater out of Boston. Also at the old Foothills Theater, I was the production stage manager there for the first couple of years, and worked for them before they got the new theater. Did a lot of theater work, and then got married, kind of went into sort of retirement to raise my family and raise my kids. And now that I'm older and a grandfather, I got this call that said, "Hey, there's this wonderful theater company up here," because I was living in Charlton, up here, and they could use some help. So I came up and met Don, and it's a number of years ago, and I've kind of got back into it because it's my one true love here.
Okay.
It's like working in the theater.
and it's one of those fortuitous things. For some reason, every time I get involved with a theater group of some sort, somehow when I lose a tech person, someone comes in to take their place and bail me out of it. And I know a little bit about tech, but I don't have the full expertise. I'm trying to learn, but I'm pretty low on the priority list. But I was very lucky to have Eric come in. It was probably like a month and a half after my previous tech moved to Virginia. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and suddenly Eric appeared. And it wasn't even for theater. It was for music.
Oh,
Because
right,
for
as you had doing
for
the
the
sound,
Grizzly
yeah.
Coffee House.
Oh, the Grizzly Coffee House,
Yeah,
right? In the
because
first
he
shows,
came
yeah.
over, yeah. So,
Which is the other thing I like to
Yeah.
work on here, which will be starting in May for people who are interested. The the Grizzly Coffee House. It's a kind of an open jam session, usually using both electric and acoustic instruments.
Where is it again?
It'll be in the down below in the lower barn here,
Okay.
every second Sunday, starting in May, probably running to September and October until it gets too cold, to be
Yeah.
down there. It's so I know there's people in the area who come to it. So kind of the announcement of that when we're opening it up again. But like I said, music is something my family has always done. It's something that's always interested in me. But I say theater has been my primary focus in most of my life.
What kind of music?
I play guitar and I play a ukulele, thanks to him. There's a wonderful ukulele club, the Charlton Ukulele League and Ensemble. They meet every third Thursday, something like that, up at the library. It's run by Rich. And he was saying, "Why don't you come up and play?" I said, "Well, I don't play ukulele." He says, "Well, it's kind of like guitar, which I know you play." And I says, "But he said, well, I want to learn a new instrument." So he's like, "Well, it's a baritone ukulele. It's kind of like a guitar." And well, I'm not going to buy it. Well, I've got one here. I'll lend it to you. So I was like, "All right, I'll come." And sat there and said, "Wow, this is fun." So 3 weeks later, I bought a new ukulele, and it's my new love instrument.
Yeah. I got him hooked.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. Yes.
And you are a Charlton resident.
I was a Charlton resident for many years, and things came up. We had my wife's parents died. We had to move. Went down to New York and New Jersey. And I just continued to work up here, and then finally moved back, and now I'm living in Webster, but still I find myself being drawn back to Charlton constantly. Because I love this town. My kids went to school here. I spent years living here, and set down some roots and made good friends here. So it's Charlton's. It's a lovely town.
Good, yeah.
So what do you think is your favorite interaction with when you're on stage? Who do you like acting against the most?
Oh, well, I spend most of my time talking with Jamie,
Yeah.
the brother of of Jackie, who I keep calling a boy, because unfortunately my character is maybe a couple of bottles short of a six-pack sometimes. As the day goes on, he's an older man. It's and we sit there and we play checkers together, and it's sometimes combat checkers. It's because Mr. Morris does not like to lose. But still, he develops a great relationship with Jamie, despite the fact we occasionally we argue and bicker constantly.
Yeah.
And it's Mike, the gentleman playing the Hart, has been a lot of fun to work with. And one of the new actors that's come into the company.
Yeah. I think this is the first time he's acted, actually.
Since high school, I believe, because talked with him. It's and Mike is also a good friend. Is a good friend and roommate of the gentleman who plays Bill, which A.J. Johnson, who has done a couple of shows here. I acted with him in the show that Victoria directed.
Yeah.
Darling Mr.
Darling
London.
Mr. London,
Darling
yes.
Mr. London, yes. I was in that show with him, and it was a wonderful person to work with. And, and he's really doing a great job with Bill, who is one of the principal characters here. As you said, the person who's at the front desk for the first and third acts. And a lot of the story revolves around him and the girl and their interrelationships. So.
And one of the things that is remarkable about this cast is the fact that it's probably equally distributed with veteran actors and actors who have only been doing this maybe a year and a half. And it's really amazing when you see how much they progressed in that short amount of time. And I'll take credit for all of it. My very insightful direction.
Your humility is what you could be most proud of. I feel the same myself.
Yes. My biggest weakness is that I do everything so well that I make other people feel bad.
I understand. And we almost can see the halo.
Yeah.
He's a legend in his own mind.
No, well, that's you definitely like what you're doing.
Sometimes. Sometimes it can be a little bit.
Okay, you hate me. Make up your freaking mind. I'm sorry.
Oh, he loves what he's doing.
I love what I'm doing,
Yes.
but sometimes you can get frustrated with certain
Okay.
aspects of it, especially when part of the thing with community theater is that sometimes it's harder to get people to commit to the backstage roles. And so a lot of times, and Eric can testify to this because he's directed too, suddenly you find yourself doing stuff that really isn't in the director's job description, and you do what you have to do to make the show go.
The show must go on, as they say. It's the,
So you always rise to the occasion, and even if it's not what you want to do, well, it's a tough, dirty job. But
Well, you know, the funny thing is I probably wouldn't like the job that anyone I might delegate responsibility to would do, and I'm sure I think I would do a better job anyway. So
you have a wonderful stage manager, I must admit here. And I'm being a little boastful here because the stage manager is my granddaughter, who's also started working with the Pasture Bedtime Players, has worked her way up and started working at the main stage productions. I was kind of bringing her here, and she's all my grandkids. She's the one that's caught the theater bug, and I'm very proud of her. And she's
yes, there is an awful lot of nepotism in our business, but
well, it probably runs in families, knowing people and seeing something done that's an interesting thing can be a spark, and why not?
it's how I got into it, is watching my father. You know, he was actor and director, and he'd been in New York and in Hollywood, and coming back up here, he had a lot to do with the Trinity Square Repertory Theater. He was their vice chairman of the board, you know, for years. And you know, I grew up going down and watching the old shows at Trinity Square Rep, and watching Adrian Hall direct, and sitting on the edge of the stage listening to him and listening to my father when he directed shows. And it just I got bitten by the bug, you know, and I've tried to get my kids interested, and I've got one now grandchild who's into it. So yeah, it's a matter of it becomes a family thing. You know, you find this in your blood, and that's something you want to get involved with. When community theater is a wonderful thing to get involved with, and people out there who are maybe listening to this, you know, should think about coming down to Pasture Prime when you see our stuff, and at least see our shows and become involved. We've got our youth division, we have the main stage shows, we've got our music programs, you know, on the second Sunday of each month in the warm summer months.
Well, it's good you bring this up because we'd love for you to proselytize Pasture Prime here today and talk about, you know, what's coming up next. Is another play in the works? And
we're trying to get the director to commit to a single play. He's still evaluating scripts for our, traditionally in the fall, I would say it's about 50% of the time we do something that's kind of holiday related in a way, but not always. Sometimes we do other types of plays, but we tend to try and get something because of Halloween, either the other year we did Blithe Spirit, which is obviously a comic story about ghosts, whereas other times we've done things like The Uninvited and The Haunting of Hill House. So some things which were much more trying to scare people versus comedic.
so you're basically always looking for people interested in Pasture Prime. And
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's a great way if you don't know if you want to really be on stage. There's an awful lot of stages where someone comes on and just says, for example, someone order a pizza, and that's all you got to do. Walk in with a box of pizza and walk up the stairs and deliver one line. And suddenly you might find yourself, well, that wasn't so bad. Because that's one of the big things that people have, this little bit of stage fright of going in front. Not quite as much as having to speak. People get much more frightened of having to give a speech than they do acting, because there's other people on stage. But I think it's something that once you get used to it, and everyone has different ways they deal with it. I like to immediately stare at the audience. I look out at the audience always the first time, and it's kind of like, even though they can't see me peeking behind the things, I don't care about how much is in the audience. I'm just staring them down, knowing that I'm going to go out there and act.
Yeah. My father told me when I was young and doing a show for him, and I was a little kid, and I was all very nervous, and he said, look, Eric, he says, they're here to enjoy you, Don't worry about that, They have come here to enjoy the show. Don't be nervous, go out there, you know what you're doing, you know what you have to say, you go out and you do it. And he was right. He was right.
Do you have any contact information for people who want to find out or who would like to be interested in Pasture Prime?
Sure. The best way is probably to either, and unfortunately we have a long email address, it's pasture.prime.players@gmail.com. I'm still trying to get the URL transferred from our old website to our new website, and I can't remember the exact URL of our current website, but if you go to, if you're on Facebook, that's a great place to look, mainly because I'm old, and that's where I go to on social media. I go to Facebook.
If you type in, if you go and look at Pasture Prime Players on Facebook, you'll get connected.
Yes, if you're going through Facebook. We also do have an Instagram account, but my daughter was the one who was in charge of that, and she moved to Germany. And so I don't know that anyone has taken charge of that. We'll probably have to get some of the younger people involved with the parts of social media. Unfortunately, Facebook has this reputation of being a place for old geezers, and that we ruined it, and so they have to go to someplace else.
No comment.
Whereas, I always thought, for example, Twitter, now X, I always thought that was a ridiculous thing, to have a forum where you just are limited to the amount of things you can say, although I can understand why sometimes it's good to limit people. But that was never something I found terribly interesting, and I think TikTok's ridiculous, and so I haven't really looked into Instagram enough. I know that seems to be the go-to one for a lot of probably millennials, I guess.
I'm geezer here now.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
but to get in touch with us, best Facebook is a good spot. For
And
people that does
they can also, the dates of the play, and if you want to announce the dates of the upcoming Hot
Sure, I
L
gotta
Baltimore.
make sure.
would be good. Yeah.
Yes, well, I have to make sure. They're the last 2 weekends of April, and I believe it's April 17th, 18th, 24th, and 25th. Those are Friday and Saturdays at 7:30, and so that would mean it's the 19th and the 26th are the Sundays at 2 p.m., and that'll be held here for Dresser Hill in Charlton, Massachusetts.
Very good. All right. And people have a suggestion often for me about this, going on the theater. Is you should be on stage. There's one leaving in 15 minutes. Okay. We have Don Konopaki here and Eric Hart from Pasture Prime Players, and they having a play soon, Hot L Baltimore. And this has been the Long Hill Report. Richard Morco here. And I hope you get to see the play. Thank you.